How to use that shit, bro.
And we're live. Or no, we're not live.
No. This is edited.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas right around the corner. Christmas on Monday. We film on Fridays every other week. So, Merry Christmas to folks out there. Happy Hanukkah or
Kwanzaa or whatever
holiday you happen to celebrate. Yeah.
That's getting crazy, ain't it?
End of the year. This is our last decent discussion.
Yeah, that's getting out of control, ain't it?
Yeah. A lot of things getting out of control.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, but got a couple things to discuss. So we got some of the headlines that have been going on in the last couple weeks, and then we can get into some other stuff because there's some disturbing trends out there that I know a lot of people kind of want to. Maybe some of y'all weren't really thinking about some of these things, but just kind of bring it to light and just try to inspire research, so you guys could look into this stuff because it's curious as hell. Some of it is like we're living in an era where conspiracies are not being
proven.
Conspiracies are being proven to be fact, and a lot of things are coming to light that were previously just old wives' tales. You know what I mean? And now you're starting to find out that this is legit.
Yeah.
So, but we'll go through some of the headlines first.
So what I got is the top headlines for 2023.
Yeah, recap of the year, apparently.
It's recap of the year. According to Forbes.com, because I was too lazy to make my own damn list. So.
Hey, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they do it for you, so it's all right. And this was posted not too long ago anyway.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right, so first one was, and one I didn't know about, we haven't talked about this, was the National Ignition Facility, the NIF, has repeated a nuclear fusion reaction resulting in a net positive energy yield. That is huge news. That makes nuclear fusion possible. We know anything about nuclear energy technology and what we've used for nuclear energy in the past, it's nuclear fission, not fusion. So, fusion, that's the same thing that powers the sun itself. So if they develop this and commercialize it, you could make very cheap, very clean energy available for a lot of people. So, probably very technologically restrictive, but I mean, that is a big news thing.
Well, that's super important. That impacts all.
It could, yeah, it has the potential to, for sure.
That impacts all of the industries, not just the petroleum industry, but also that green energy movement. That's that AOC, and all them other dumbasses are so fond of.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah, because I mean, California has already set their standards for 2024, and they're set to grandfather in internal combustion engines. They have a date for it.
Right. I think it's like 2030 or something like that. They're trying to get rid of all combustion engines on the road by 2030.
So they're already implementing it to the tune of not to the tune, but to the point where people that have lawn care businesses have to run battery operated stuff. Right. It's quite intrusive. I mean, it's insane how much they're pushing this agenda and to what end other than to enrich China. It's beyond me because the Chinese are the ones that have their hands on all the components that make these devices, and I'm not opposed to some electrical powered equipment. Like I considered it myself for intrastate, travel and stuff like that, getting an EV because it's convenient. I could plug it into my house, no big deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't visit family in Ohio with it.
Right.
I mean, the infrastructure is just not caught up to it, and until them things stop just instantaneously combusting, and we've worked. I know I know you've probably done traffic control for fire, and I've done traffic control for fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done one
Tow
here
vehicles, fire,
where EV
yeah.
EV freaking just combusted. So if you guys are joining us for the first time, I'm Hesco. This is James. In our background, former cops and military, and we're both vets, and we've dealt with got long terms there with public safety and just dealing with people just in general as police officers and military guys and as soldiers.
Yeah.
So it's in my career I've worked a couple, and as recently I didn't work this one, but it was at least 3 months ago on one of our major highways. We had a fire where luckily I wasn't needed for it because the vehicle caught fire on the shoulder.
Right.
But it was pretty. That was just several months ago, almost at the beginning of this year. So I wasn't needed for any of that, but it caught fire on the side of the road, and it's an EV. Just
right. Yeah, I've heard about those fires. They burn really hot and they burn really long, and they're nigh on impossible to put out.
Yeah.
I've heard firefighters from like California, they got to deal with it quite a bit, and they haven't really had any like emergency success of putting that kind of fire out quickly. So, like big chances of these things recombusting like a couple minutes later to an hour later, recatching fire and setting something else on fire. So it's an issue people don't think about a lot when they're shopping for an EV or a Tesla or something like that. So they'll buy them just thinking it's a good convenience, not having to pay for fuel at the pump when your vehicle takes a shit or you get into a wreck and now it's catching fire.
Right.
Hard to put out.
Right. It's been. I mean, it's just that the technology, and both the technology and the infrastructure are not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure it'll be incredibly convenient once it does.
Yeah.
For some.
I mean, it should catch on. I mean, it's a good idea. It's a good concept. If we can produce energy with like fusion reactors and have fusion reactors actually built and they'll be safe and providing a lot of cheap energy, then yeah, there's no reason why the infrastructure can't be built within like a year or two.
I mean, it created a EV charging business for some. Remember that meme I sent you?
Maybe, man.
That roadside service for EVs. They run out of charge.
So yeah.
Dude,
yeah, I remember that.
Dude with a generator.
Yeah. Got Jenny in his trunk. Yeah.
So we got to get past the irony.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the thing too. You see a lot of videos that come out through like Facebook Reels or all the other little shorts videos, places that you can get videos, and you can pull up to an EV charging station, and what's powering that EV charger is a gigantic diesel generator.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't that, it's your local power plant or whatever, wherever you draw your power from. So,
most of the power in the United States is coal-fired power.
Right,
so.
Right. So, but yeah, it's we got to get past the irony.
Yeah.
Before it starts making a lot of sense for me. But yeah. So what else we got?
All right. So number 2 on Forbes' list. U.S. faces a rising threat of widespread civil unrest. So there's been a poll by The Economist and YouGov reported 42% of Americans think the Civil War is likely within the next 10 years. This year, a former U.S. president found himself facing multiple criminal charges. Oh, I wonder who they're talking about because they don't say the name Trump anywhere in this. But for undermining the U.S. election system and fomenting an insurrection. And he's currently the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination. The rise of violent rhetoric in the public square suggests there's only more bad news to come. So, I mean, that's Forbes' opinion. Forbes is a very left-leaning news source anyway. But, yeah. So, that's number 2 on their list is U.S. facing widespread civil unrest.
Yeah, so let's collectively as our viewers and fellow podcasters, fellow people. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put a bookmark on that because we're gonna come back to that later because this ties into other things.
Right. So number 3 would be Climate crisis continues to force citizens of the global south to march northward.
Yeah, so basically, so what that news is implying, this is in Africa, right?
That's what it directly points to, is due to unpredictable weather patterns and resulting political conflicts, large populations are fleeing the Sahel region of North Africa and driving Europe's highest migrant influx since 2017. As global warming accelerates, more areas are becoming uninhabitable, leading to economic instability, cultural fragmentation, and political strife. So it's directly like referencing the Sahel region of North Africa.
Okay, yeah, it has nothing to do with the incredible genocide that's happening in Burkina Faso, which is in the Sahel region. That has nothing to do, right? It's the climate.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at, guys?
Yeah.
Boys and girls, freaking gentlemen, ladies.
Yeah, this thing
whoever.
is like twisting that to be like the climate is causing the political strife, which is causing people to migrate, which is
So there's
Forbes is very left leaning. So
there's a massive civil war in Burkina Faso that's been going on for a hot minute now. Burkina Faso is right in the middle of the Sahel region in Africa, like it's the centerpiece of it. So that's why it sounded when we were doing our pre-production. Like you told me about it, and like it rang a bell, and I'm like, why do I know this? Why do I know this? Why do I know this? Oh yeah, because Burkina Faso is in the Sahel region of Africa, where people are dying by the bushel, by gunfire, not climate change.
Right.
So if anything, the only climate that's happening is people going from regular temperature to room temperature. So by enemy gunfire, so there's a lot going on over there. There's multiple reasons why people would leave that area. One of them is the place is fucking desolate.
Yeah, it's uninhabitable. Almost uninhabitable. There's no water.
It's like the surface of another planet. It's rough to live down there. So I mean, more power to those people. Those people are tough as nails. I definitely wouldn't want to scrap with somebody from that region, man, because they survived that mess. That's ain't nothing I can throw at somebody like that, man. Yeah. So what else?
Quantum computers took a big step towards commercialization. That's pretty cool. So that'll be extreme speeds of computational power.
Good. Good. I hope it expands into cell phone coverage, because we got some badass images from freaking some of the one moon in Neptune, and I got drop calls from like a couple miles away. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Incredibly detailed image of Uranus for the first time since we discovered Uranus. Yeah. And we can't get good footage outside of a business 5 feet away.
Bro, yeah.
Security camera.
Bro, worked a freaking a theft a long time ago. And when they got the camera footage, and for all intents and purposes, the person looked like a fucking Lego man. So we're looking for a character from Minecraft that stole about $150 worth of merchandise. It's just this little square dude with a baseball cap. Everything was pixelated. It's like we can't get solid images. I mean, so that quantum stuff is gonna expand into a lot of different things. Like it's not gonna be mutually exclusive to just internet speeds and whatnot.
Once it actually gets commercialized, it'll move into pretty much every facet of
right. I mean, it is constant evolution. I mean, that's what we're on fiber right now, and we're going by 6G already. So I mean, phones are becoming obsolete before you get done paying for them. So that's another thing. They're gonna have to start doing leases for phones, because you don't get
phone companies are already doing this. It's not called a lease program, but it's like their step up program or whatever it is. Like you pay a certain amount and you get the newest phone like every time they release a new phone.
Right, bro, because I'm telling you, by the time I get done paying say I get done paying a Galaxy S22, the number one, the S23 plus whatever super giga badass phone is already out, and it's already starting to get obsolete. Like I've had it for like a year. Yeah. So it's
always been the bane of technology, though. Technology is constantly evolving.
Right.
Anything you buy right now is obsolete in a couple of years, if not even sooner. I mean, both of us can remember when 3.5 floppy disks were the used piece of memory storage. Yeah. 3.5 floppies or 5.0 floppies. Younger people in the audience won't know what the hell I'm talking about because we don't use them anymore. We barely use DVD-ROMs or CD-ROMs.
Right.
Barely use them anymore. This computer does not have a drive that accepts them. Does not have one.
Yeah, no, I haven't used it. I haven't used a CD since since I worked for county. Oh, they're back in the day.
Yeah.
So last time I did anything with CDs, and even that's the only time they did anything with CDs was when they went to work.
Yep.
That's because the systems were outdated. But
I think every agency I've looked at, every agency I've talked to cops there, and it's like if they're using DVDs, they are trying everything they can to get away from it.
Yeah, it's all digital and cloud-based.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
They're trying to go cloud-based and
cloud-based and
paperless
digital,
and all this other
paperless
stuff.
and whatnot. So
it's a good thing. It's a great thing for their work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sets some vulnerabilities, but then again, it's that's always above our pay grade, to decipher. But the good thing with all that stuff is that we're moving faster, better, getting information quicker out to everybody. The thing is that it's theoretically you should be harder to fool because the information is out there, but technology can't. Technology underestimates the laziness of the human mind. So yeah, I mean.
Something to that effect will be later on this list too. Next is universal basic income is being rolled out in red states, and this thing specifically citing Alabama and Florida.
Yeah, the only two red states.
The only two red states that probably it's even happening in, because Texas is not doing universal basic income. Roll Tide. Right. I don't know much about this universal basic income. I've never heard of this before. This is the first time I've seen this. I know what universal basic income is, but I haven't heard of them doing this. So. It's
the dipping the toe into socialism.
Yeah.
It's let's change the name of what it's called and try to implement it that way, and then once we normalize it, then it'll be canon, and it'll just be the way things are. Yeah. Before you know it,
That's the thing. The way I look at it, like from an economic point of view, there's only a couple of states in the United States that can even pull off universal basic income. Texas being one of them, because Texas doesn't have an income tax.
Right.
Period. Like you are not taxed on your income, whatever you make. You are not. Texas does not take a cut of it. The federal taxes is the only thing that gets removed. If you're a regular wage earner, federal tax is the only thing that comes out.
Right.
No state income tax. So I mean, Texas could probably get away with providing a universal basic income to all of its citizens, all the residents of Texas, but not for long. Because I mean, that would be a huge, be a huge drain on economic resources in Texas.
I mean, you can always do what California does.
What do they do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They just let you live on the street and poop wherever you want. Yeah. You take shit wherever you want.
Until the president of China comes to town.
Yeah, until the Chinese come in, then you got to move a couple counties down the way, so Xi Jinping don't see it.
Well, the Chinese see that
they don't want
homeless people are like stacked up on Capitol Square and
they're stacked up on top of each other. It took away the powers from the police, and I mean, hell, I'd love to be a cop down there. They don't get to do nothing. They don't got to do nothing. That'd be free money right there. They don't got to do nothing. Because
California cops are paid pretty well too.
They are well paid.
Especially in the big cities, they start at like $90K.
I mean, they're being paid to look away right now. It's crazy. Because police officers can't enforce what's not legislated. So you take away the law, and I run into this all the time. When I work the roads and whatnot, and just being out there, it's just kind of like. You run into civilians that want justice for something that they see wrong, but the law.
Not a crime. It's
not a crime, man.
Yep.
Like I see eye to eye with you.
Yeah.
But
you can be understanding all day long.
Like
but I can't enforce anything if it's not enforceable.
I get it, but there's nothing in the books that say that this guy can't do this. So it's a problem. But California just kind of let that one go. Yeah. I don't like that curling rock. Just kind of like. Just like that fucker just coast. So, oh well.
So next up is the first gene editing technology has been approved for treating life-threatening diseases. New therapeutics using CRISPR, and CRISPR has been on the news. So I am pretty sure you've heard of CRISPR, CRISPR. have successfully alleviated symptoms. Blah, blah, blah. It's a medical technology too.
I saw it and I thumbed right past. I thought it had something to do with food.
I remember the conspiracy theories that came out when CRISPR first started getting talked about. It's like theoretically you can use the same system to genetically alter a fetus in the womb and genetically alter a human, or you can use it to genetically alter animals and get them to do whatever. It would take a lot more experimentation to figure out what does what, but eventually, now it's absolutely against every medical ethic to do something like that. But I'm pretty sure there are secret labs all over that are getting their hands on it and doing experimentation.
That's an anime plot if I've ever seen one, bro. Like that's some Ex Machina, freaking.
What was that one? Oh, the most one of the most famous animes out there, Akira.
Yeah. That's what I mean. This is some Ex Machina, Akira, freaking.
Right. Yeah. So I remember CRISPR because of the conspiracy theories. So that's about the only thing I know about that entire thing.
Wow.
It potentially has that potential to be used for that.
Yeah, you create a bunch of mongoloids to fight your wars for you,
or anything else, or a super intelligent thing to lead those mongoloids.
I mean, yeah.
Which is the plot of what was that? There's a book.
I had it.
I'm gonna feel so stupid when I
ADD, please. Jeez. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
The Time Machine, I think it is. Yes, The Time Machine. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a genetic alteration. It was humans evolving over a long period of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have it.
Yeah, okay.
I was thinking of something completely different.
Yeah, it's humans evolving over a long period of time. Some of the humans become like predatory animals, and like there are very few humans that are actually hyper intelligent.
Bro, the island of Dr. Monroe is what I had in my head, dude.
No, that's nowhere.
Yeah, that's not nowhere near, man. Now hearing you, see,
I got you.
Yeah,
I got where that got connected though.
Fuck, that's why I do the color commentary, man. Damn. Yeah, dude, I was thinking the Island of Dr. Monroe or Frankenstein or some shit. I'm like, no. I love old books, man.
Yeah, me too.
Dude.
Oh, here we go on a tangent.
Man, dude. So I got a birthday gift the other day, and it was a book of fictions.
Okay.
Like I just got it, so I haven't really I was just so excited, and I was like, oh my god, it's like super thick, bro.
Oh, okay.
It has like 9 books in it. And I'm like, I want to tear into this thing so bad, bro.
Is it one author or one genre?
Yes, one author. CJ. Fuck. Oh man, dude.
I was thinking C.S. Lewis, but
yes.
Is it C.S. Lewis?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Well, did he write? He wrote what? The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think.
Yeah, don't quote me. I think it's C.S. Lewis. But
I don't think it's somebody else. Oh, that's a lot. Magician's Nephew.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Prince Caspian, The Silver Chair.
There's so many books. I know I read at least 2 of those when I was a teenager, but yeah. So what else has been going on?
Well, now I'm looking at C.S. Lewis.
You looking at C.S. Lewis?
Yeah.
Right. What our viewers should be looking at is freaking.
All right. Number 7 on. What? Finish that sentence.
What's his face? Freaking 1984.
Oh.
Freaking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's escaping me now. Who wrote it?
Orwell.
Yeah, George Orwell.
George Orwell.
Yeah. I was thinking Aldous Huxley, but that's not 1984. That's the other one.
Yeah,
Which escapes me too. Fuck it.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah. So number 7 on Forbes' list was global population growth is expected to grind to a halt by 2050. People have been speculating about global population for like the last 250 to 300 years. So when the population crested over like a billion people, there's not enough food, there's not enough space. That's when it began. It's like 1 billion people. Now we're up to like nearly 8 billion people. And every 10 years, every 15 years or so, somebody comes out and is like, oh, it's all gonna come crashing down. This planet can easily support probably about 12 billion people. So I mean,
somebody did a mock-up of how underpopulated this planet actually is.
Yeah.
I forget what landmass was used, or whether it was
Australia. I think I know what you're
state
talking about.
or something.
It's Australia.
Okay, so you could put all of the world's population in this particular landmass, which I mean, you're saying it's Australia. I don't remember at all.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I don't remember at all.
Because if I'm right, it was you could put the entire world's population on this landmass, give everybody like an acre,
Right.
and they'll all fit. Yeah, it was Australia that they used.
Right. So, Elon Musk also alluded to that in one of his many rants that we're underpopulated by all metrics, but.
That's the thing. Talk to somebody in like the agricultural space and ask them about carrying capacity. So I mean, when you look at the carrying capacity of different farms and stuff, where they have to calculate how much land they actually have and how much cattle they can put on it, they do the carrying capacity math. Ask me about the carrying capacity math. I have no idea. So I studied it a little bit in college. I've talked to a couple of agricultural people about it, but I mean, I couldn't do the math for you. But like 10 acres, you can have like, I don't know, just spitballing like 10 cows, because they'll be able to graze the land, and once they graze all the way across the land that they start, the grass that they started with will be regrown, so they can go back and graze again.
Right. So
the land will actually keep keep the cattle fed. The way you can slaughter the cattle and raise the cattle for whatever meat source that you're wanting.
Right.
There's a different carrying capacity for like bovine to sheep to anything else that you raise, horses. Stuff like that. So there are different carrying capacities for an amount of land depending on what animal you're trying to raise on that land. And if you do the same calculations for humans on Earth, like there's plenty of farmable land on the planet. Like a lot of it's in one belt region of the planet. It's like the temperate zone, like what we're in, and a little bit north of us, all the way to like Bolivia. But I mean, it's that area that could be farmed pretty easily, except for the Sahara Desert in Africa. So, I mean, there's plenty of farmable land, and there's plenty of areas that you can raise cattle on. So, I mean, and humans are one of the most adaptable creatures on the planet. We live in every climate this planet has, every one of them. We live in the Arctic, we live in the Antarctic, we live everywhere in between.
Yeah, I mean, it's as long as we can provide food, water,
food, water, basic
and we can
necessities.
construct shelter, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So,
and we've been able to do so for at least the last 12,000 years.
I mean, hell, we got people living in space. So yeah, it's I mean, for albeit for a short period of time, but
right.
But yeah, it's I mean, this is a curious thing, man, because this falls right in line with that UN Agenda 2021 and of basically removing grazing land from farmers, and they started to do this stuff in Australia, and not Australia. I'm sorry, New Zealand.
Right.
I don't ever want to make that distinction. That I'm sorry for my Aussie friends that may watch this, and some of my
Kiwi guys.
my Kiwis, bro, that I serve with, dude. I'm sorry, my apologies. I won't get the two mixed ever again. But they tried doing this stuff and to the Danish as well.
They're doing it all over North Europe.
They're doing all over North Europe, taking away grazing lands and reducing cattle populations, and all this stuff is because apparently cow farts and global warming and all this other junk. So I'm not a scientist by no means, and I'm not pretending to give any environmental advice. That's just not my area of expertise. But for sure, look into this stuff as best as you can with the resources that you got. But it's a bunch of gobbledygook bullshit. The world's always been changing. Temperature's always been changing. Global warming's always been a thing.
Our culture always changes. Our technology always changes.
In the 70s, the threat was an ice age, cataloged by Time magazine, which decides to be a reputable source when it's convenient. So
in the 90s, what was it? The ozone layer?
Yeah, the ozone layer and El Nino and some of this other stuff. And dude, so things changed. One thing that hasn't really changed a whole lot. It's our wind patterns across the earth. Just That's hurricanes usually develop in these areas, but every now and then you get perfect conditions where they developed in areas where they don't,
Right.
like, off of San Diego,
Right.
some nonsense like that. Well, that stuff, although not the norm, is not an indicative in and of itself.
Right.
And any scientist worth their salt,
That's
they
what
won't.
people use, like tornadoes and stuff. Like,
Right.
oh my God, tornadoes are in this place. Tornadoes happen everywhere.
Tornadoes happen everywhere where the conditions are just right.
It's like they happen more on the North American continent than anywhere else in the world, but tornadoes happen everywhere in the world.
Everywhere. There's tornadoes happening somewhere in the planet right now.
Yeah.
You just may not be in the
It may not
middle.
be populated.
You may not be in the middle of the Atlantic watching
Yeah.
it, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's these are weather patterns are what they are. We shouldn't be overburdening our farmers and our agricultural industry because of the words of a couple idiots and the massive push
They're
from
loud idiots,
there.
and that's what matters.
Well, because the media pushes it.
That's right.
So but we'll go back to that.
So next up is the CDC issued a warning that an antimicrobial resistant fungus is an urgent threat. Cases of rare fungus Candida auris, AURIS, rose rapidly this year. Microbe spreads easily in healthcare settings and doesn't respond to conventional treatments. Meanwhile, the world is facing an antibiotics pipeline crisis, leaving us out of options to treat common infections. Growing antimicrobial resistance threatens the gains of modern medicine, making routine medical procedures dangerous and potentially returning us to a time when everyday infections could be lethal. So the medical system is having issues with this particular fungus that cannot be treated with antifungals.
We're not giving medical advice.
Yeah, we're not doctors. We're not.
So YouTube, we're reading headlines.
Yeah.
So I have to do that for YouTube because they lose their shit.
Yeah. They'll strike our video.
Even though the FCC isn't in charge of them and whatever, but they've been modeling themselves after the FCC because they want that funding.
Yep.
They want that federal funding from the FCC and forever.
And I understand that too, because YouTube is one of the major news sources on the entire internet. I mean, the second used search engine next to Google.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I learned how to fix a lot of things through YouTube. I mean, it's I'm telling you, like, you kids got math problems, they got issues with learning math, get on YouTube. There's somebody somewhere teaching it for free.
Yeah. Basic life skills. There's a guy that has a great channel. He's like everybody's dad. He just teaches you how to tie a tie, how to make a suit, how to change a tire on a car. Yep. Basic shit. Basic life skills stuff.
Yep.
Don't remember the man's name, but yeah, good channel.
Yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of little things, man. Like, there's so many different channels out there that teach so many different things that are important to. They're just flat out interesting, and that's probably why you're here to begin with. You kind of stumbled on us. It's like, hey, let's see what these guys got to say. So, but yeah, they every time we bring anything medical, they lose their stuff. So. All right, so
next one up was I don't care about this one at all, but weight management. Weight management drugs are hurting consumer demand across multiple categories, and it lists some bullshit that I don't give a fuck about. Anyway,
okay, let me look at the name of the medication.
The weight management thing.
Yeah.
It's Ozempic.
Yeah, Ozempic. So Ozempic, a medication that's normally used for diabetes type 1.
I think is that the same one?
Yeah, it's the same one. But one of the I wouldn't say a side effect, but a side benefit of it is extreme weight loss. There's a lot of people advertise it out there on Facebook. You may see it every now and then. Advertised as a free consult with a packet of Ozempic, and you pay exorbitant amount of money for a monthly dose of this stuff that you freaking zap into your fat gut and you drop weight like insane.
Yeah.
Well,
it's Ozempic.
Well, it's so Hollywood had discovered it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of I remember Elon Musk talking about it.
They discovered the use of it, and it's being bogarted by the powerful, and
but they can pay for it.
And and it's So there's an incredible shortage. I talked to a doctor at VA that explained a lot of that, and so VA was exploring that Ozempic. This didn't get a whole lot of traction, and it's still not something that's been decided on, but definitively. But for right now, because of the demand, that it's easy for them to make a decision. They only prescribe that for diabetes patients, right. But it was being observed as a possible alternative to help disabled vets that do not possess the ability to exercise in a meaningful manner to create enough of a difference in their weight.
Right. So prescribe it for the obese.
Prescribe it for the obese or the at-risk disabled people. Mm-hmm. So there is such a thing, you know. So there's many reasons why people get fat, and there's why like for instance, for me specifically, I had a combination of laziness, tacos, and SSRIs.
I was going to say something similar. So, you said something legit. I'm just lazy and I like food.
Yeah. So laziness, tacos, and SSRIs. And I say SSRIs because the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication kind of precipitated the rapid weight gain. Yeah. So it made it. I could have stayed lazy and just ate tacos, and I wouldn't be nowhere near as big. Does that make sense? Like the SSRIs just made it like way worse.
Right.
But there are other guys that have gone through that kind of stuff, and they can't match the calorie burns that they need to in comparison to a decent diet and their daily schedules plus their disabilities. So they were talking about possibly implementing Ozempic, but because of the demand is so high and there's a shortage of it, there's a supply shortage, they reserve that for now, and they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna issue this for diabetes, and come back to us if you want to turn those man tits into real tits, because they'll pay for that because they do transition stuff. So
this is an interesting thing. Like I know I front-loaded this saying that I don't give a shit about this particular one.
Right.
But I was just glancing over what they said about it on Forbes, on the website. It says retailers and banks are warning that the use of drugs like Ozempic will bring down demand for junk food, medical devices, and maybe even furniture, beer, and tobacco.
Right.
These new drugs have the potential to eradicate obesity, but also change consumer behaviors in unpredictable ways. What kind of asshole wrote that shit in there, thinking that this is something that you should be concerned about, that maybe these industries will see a hit because people are getting healthier?
Liberals wrote that.
That should be alarming.
Liberals wrote that. So there is a correlation between that way of thinking and actual mental health issues. Mm-hmm. So I listen to both sides of the fence, just so I want to know what they're thinking. And then I realized that a lot of the stuff is just absolutely bananas, and then I just go back to what I normally operate in. But I'm more towards the center, but that center just keeps getting pushed, But these guys and gals, they think that in spite of clear evidence to the contrary, their confirmation biases, their preconceived notions will not allow them to think any different.
Right.
It will not allow them. They cannot see. We're living in the world where Rage Against the Machine turned pro-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Mm-hmm. It's a lyric.
Yep.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Everybody's heard. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Go get the vax.
Wear your mask.
Yeah.
Or you can't buy one of our tickets.
Or you can't come to our concert and listen to us talk shit about the man.
Yeah.
What? That's the era we're living in.
Yep.
So it's fucking clown world. Now it's gonna come back to normal-ish. Like it never comes back to normal, but it gets a little better.
It keeps getting worse or it crashes.
Right. So I mean, but
History teaches anything.
yes,
That's what it teaches. It keeps continuing. It continues to get worse until it crashes.
so we'll probably see another comeback to the bell bottoms, and then after that it'll fall the fuck apart. So we'll see bell bottoms again.
Curled bangs.
We'll see bell bottoms again, curled bangs, and then then it's just the cheese will slide off the cracker completely. So I mean, George Carlin, Jesus bless his heart, wherever he may be, according to him, he's nowhere.
Right.
But that freaking dude, I mean, he called it back in the day, and he was living through some of the same stuff that we're living in. We're just too young to remember.
George Carlin was liberal as hell.
And he was very liberal. Yeah. Sorry, he was very liberal. So, I mean, these things, man, they good God. They don't care about you just read it a little bit ago. They think we're overpopulated. Mm-hmm. So now a drug that could potentially save lives by reducing obesity across the world, they're like, oh no, corporations are going to lose money.
Yep.
You see, this
is from Forbes.
Yeah. Well,
which is an economic reporting thing.
Well, it's all the same people that are
right. Yeah, you're absolutely
they're in the same. They're not only in the same editorial room; they're in the same echo chamber. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's
so yeah,
100% true.
So yeah, and we're reading that from a leftist list on purpose.
Yeah,
very much on purpose. This isn't just
because
like
I'm lazy.
Yeah, well, yeah, lazy.
It was the best list I could find, honestly.
Lazy, but also because it would be typical for us to read it off of, say, Fox.
Yeah.
Or some other conservative outlet.
Yep.
It would be typical. You'd be like, oh, well, of course, it's the list that the Republicans or the Libertarians made, Yeah. No. This is
from Forbes.
This is the list that they made.
So the last one on their list is AI is still coming for your white-collar job. GPT-4 scored higher than 90% of humans on the bar exam and the GRE. Jesus. So the bar exam being the exam you need to become a lawyer, the GRE being a general something education. Yeah, it's another test. It is a test that is used by colleges and universities to get into a postgraduate program. So you want to get your master's degree or go into a doctorate program, you got to take the GRE. For law school, it's the LSAT. For medical school, it's a different test. But for most master's or doctorate programs, it's the GRE. So this is saying GPT-4 scored higher on the bar exam and the GRE than 90% of the humans that take those tests. Damn. The LM from OpenAI has scored impressively high on many standardized tests and has been used by millions of users in everyday tasks. Its pace of improvement over just the past year has been startling. While predictions had warned of LLMs displacing blue-collar jobs, its white-collar jobs are most threatened in the short term. Yeah, because we can have ChatGPT give you legal advice just by putting in a prompt about a problem, and it spits out the same thing a lawyer does in less time for nothing. Yeah. That's significant. ChatGPT. I mean, I think they have a subscription fee on their thing. It's like $15-20 a month.
That's something.
Yeah, go ahead and retain a lawyer for $15 and $20 a month. Let me know which ones will actually take that kind of money.
So the problem is that
$1,000 a year.
ChatGPT has been proved to be to carry the bias of its creator, and the bias of its originating team. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can't get a straight answer out of ChatGPT about whether, like, you can ask it, is Joe Biden a bad person? And it'll tap dance around that freaking to no end.
But ask it if Trump is.
Ask if Trump is a bad guy, and it'll tell you all kinds of nasty stuff. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that they're both bad in their own right. That's the truth. They're both crazy people. So
Biden is essentially a political shill that gets placed into whatever position the Democrat Party needs him in at the moment. He is nothing but an empty suit.
Right.
Whereas Trump is a boisterous bull in a china shop. He wants to destroy everything and recreate it in his own image. He probably has a god complex, but that's what I see.
He's extremely narcissistic, but
yeah, I mean, he's a successful businessman because of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's but but the biases are crazy. So Twitter came out with their own AI.
Twitter did? Oh yeah, Grok.
Grok.
Yeah.
So you can ask Grok a couple things, and just from what I've played around with Grok for a little bit, and I've gotten some pretty right up down the middle stuff. Nothing. I haven't really
done. No real bias either way.
No, it's pretty down the middle with some pretty insightful links.
That's pretty good.
I don't know. It's like so there's different. There's a difference between the creators, and they definitely before you use a AI algorithm to make major life decisions, just do your research, because
it's not an oracle. We've said
it's not before. An oracle.
We've had that.
It's not an oracle.
And we did a whole episode on that.
It's even gotten math wrong. So just go figure a computer getting math wrong. So.
It's a fortune teller.
Yeah, don't.
Which stock should I invest in? We do not give financial advice.
Yeah, totally. So,
which stocks are going to crash in 2024?
You're gonna have to ask Congress. Yeah, they're the ones that know, man. Or freaking, what's his name? Freaking Navy SEAL with the eye patch. He got a little bit of.
I forget his name.
Freaking. Fucking, I don't know. Fucking Cobra Commander, I don't know, Destro, whatever his name is. Dan something, Crenshaw.
Is it Dan? That sounds right. Yeah, it's Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, Dan Crenshaw.
Has he been doing insider trading too?
Of course.
That does not surprise me.
I mean,
it's illegal, but yeah, good luck proving it.
It's so it's. I don't know how much of that is an ends justifying a means. Because one thing that has been proven in the last half a decade is that the establishment hates self-made wealthy people that get into politics because they can't control them. So I don't know how much of that, like, if you have a way to, let's say you have a real good heart and you really want to do these things, but you're swimming in a cesspool. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much of this stuff you have to be dirty somewhere to get the right things done. Like, you may have to.
That's a debate too.
The ends justifying the means. Like, okay, so I'll this insider trading thing, although illegal, will gain me capital where I have to spend less time on a phone.
Right.
Freaking
that's the
campaigning for money and more time looking out for my constituents. Although wrong, the morality is right.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's like the difference between the letter of the law, spirit of the law. You know what I mean? Like,
see, that's the thing about, like, people talking about people in Congress that are making themselves millionaires when they weren't millionaires when they got elected.
Right.
Look at some numbers. So, what's the paycheck for a congressman? About $174,000.
$100,000.
It's $174,000.
Okay.
So, the paycheck for a congressman is about $174,000, and they have like 3 different pay scales, but it's really not much above. I think it caps out at like $250,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. The cost of living is in D.C. To pay rent in D.C. because you don't live there, you work there. So, your home is like, Wyoming. Screw it. So, your home is in Wyoming, but you work in D.C. because you're an elected congressman. Now you got to live in D.C. You still got to pay your bills back home. How are you going to live in D.C. on $174,000 when the rent costs you probably about $3,000 a month for even a livable place, probably up to like $5,000 or $6,000 a month for a nice place?
You moved to Falls Church. I don't know what to tell you.
That's the thing.
I lived around that area for a minute.
I got you. But how long does it take to get to the Congress building from Falls Church if they're doing like a middle of the night emergency election? Well, or emergency vote.
Go to the Pentagon. It took me freaking 40 minutes almost, but I just got up early.
I got you. But if somebody's doing like an emergency vote in the middle of the night, they need everybody there to cast vote. Fine, you got to get there quick.
Just pull the fire alarm.
Yeah, it worked for some. I don't remember that guy's name.
Buy yourself some time, pull a fire alarm.
But that's the argument with it. So they need to have a place that's close enough to the congressional building where they can respond to the congressional building in the event of a vote, because that is their job. They have to vote on these matters. Mm-hmm. That's why they're there. So you got to be able to get there quick, and it has to be a livable place. I've heard of congressmen that roommate with each other.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah, they'll get together like 3 or 4 of them, and they'll pool money, and they'll rent the same place and just have like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, and they'll split everything amongst themselves, and that's how they live. And a lot of people don't know that because they don't care or never interested in it. But yeah, there's a lot of congressmen that do that. The very few congressmen have the money on their own to either have a house near D.C. or in D.C. or have an apartment that's, because they still have to have like a security measure too, because they are elected officials. They have to have like either a fenced-in community or some kind of level of security to keep them safe. So those things cost money. So
maybe, just maybe, the answer is a fucking barracks or a freaking villa. Maybe.
And you know what kind of people you're talking about too. They're not going to tolerate that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. But you can make a lavish compound.
I think the same kind of thing, but
like I'm not talking about like an open bay barracks and shit. That's shit for guys like us. You know what I mean? We're fucking knuckle draggers. We'll live.
You're talking about
I'm talking about a closed-in community for Congress people. Yeah,
I
can do it in fucking Riyadh.
Yeah.
For soldiers and airmen that live down there. I mean, granted, that's a base, but
the thing is, this salary is paid by the federal government.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think the federal government should be paying Congress a dime. I think the state government should be paying the representatives whatever their salary is, depending on the state GDP. So I mean, it's going to be a discrepancy because the states that don't have a big GDP, like say Montana, I can't imagine. I'm not going to look it up, but I don't imagine Montana has a very high GDP. The top 2 GDPs in the United States are California and then Texas. So they would be the 2 top paid Congress people, senators or representatives in DC. So I mean, they would get more money from their states. But I think that is a good idea of having a closed-in community. This is where the Congress people live and have their own security staff, and they're closed in, and it's a livable place, and that is the compound for Congress.
Yeah, it should be a compound. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah,
that should totally be a thing, and that would take away. The federal government
can provide the housing, the water, the power for those places, and the internet connections because they needed to do their jobs.
You fucking install a metro from the facility to the freaking to the buildings.
Yeah. Dude, even underground because there's plenty of tunnels around
there. It's a metro exclusively for those constituents, man, and those representatives and whatever. Just fucking ferry them there, and they don't have to fucking pay for anything. They just got, decent freaking cafeteria with some freaking top-notch catering.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, why the fuck not, bro? I mean, I don't think that'd be too far-fetched. I definitely would think that would keep the cost down in the long run to a lot of things. I mean, of course, there'd be a few that'd be pompous enough to not live there. They'll stick their noses in the air at it. But for the most part, those junior congressmen from small districts and stuff like that would love the opportunity to be able to participate in some of these major votes at a notice on a drop of a dime instead of hopping on a freaking charter plane or hopping on a freaking coach flight from freaking point A to point B, red eye in the middle of the night, because they can't afford to live in this place. It's just, I mean, it's totally doable.
That'd be a good idea to have.
I don't see why they wouldn't
have living space specifically for the representatives. And let them stop paying them and let their states pay them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to change within that within our system, anyways. Term limits and whatnot, and we can get into that. We talk about that stuff for days. But I mean,
we have something else to talk about.
But we have some other thing. So notice that list. This will segue into that's the last one, right?
Yeah, that was
okay. So this will segue into our main point of topic, or main point of conversation here. So notice that list didn't say anything about the southern border.
That's right.
It didn't talk about the
wars.
The wars.
So you got the Ukraine and Russian war going on. Didn't talk about the Israel war.
Those are not by Forbes. Those are not considered top news articles.
Let me look up when that list came out. I can't. It didn't come out too long ago.
It couldn't have, because top freaking headlines of 2023, and we're in December, and that's at the top of the list. It had to be recent. So it had to be at least
December 10th.
Yeah.
So 12 days ago.
Yeah, 12 days ago. They ain't a whole lot. The Nord Stream pipeline's been blown up.
Yep.
Freaking Russia invaded Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, we've been paying about one quarter of the freaking salaries of all governmental and freaking employees in the entire government of Ukraine for the last freaking couple years.
Mm-hmm. Providing arms, money,
money. Some of those arms and money and whatever found their way to Hamas, and which they then in turn utilized to kill all them people October 7th. It's the offensive into Gaza, the attack from the Houthis as they're terrorizing shipping lanes. What is that, Red Sea down there?
Yeah.
Terrorizing shipping lanes. That's not the Strait of Hormuz, is it?
I think they're right on the Strait. It's the Red Sea is any ships that are in the Red Sea are getting pretty
yeah, but what's that strait that the Houthis are holding? So they took over a freaking shipping ocean liner that had ties to Israeli companies and whatnot, did a helicopter-borne assault into it.
Yemen sits on the where the Gulf of Aden.
Yeah, Gulf of Aden. There we go. The Gulf of Aden. The Hormuz is a different one. Yeah, but so yeah, they've been affecting world shipping at the tune of a couple $1 trillion. Just with their support of Hamas and Hezbollah and whatnot by affecting the shipping lanes, causing ships to go completely around Africa.
That's the thing. If people don't know geography that well, when you go from the Gulf of Aden into the Red Sea, you have to go around Yemen, and the Red Sea takes you directly into the Suez Canal, which is one of the most used canals in the world. Just like the Panama Canal, it is a strip of water that facilitates the transport of big cargo ships and warships across from like the Indian Ocean into the Mediterranean Sea, which gets you into the Atlantic. So you don't have to go all the way around Africa to do it. Same thing as the Panama Canal. You don't have to go all the way around South America to travel.
Right. So I mean, it's that's not part of the news though. So.
It's just a geography basis.
Not to
why is the Red Sea important? Because of the Suez Canal.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of things there that happened this last year that haven't made the news. I mean, Elon Musk taking over Twitter was huge. That's not part of it. Right. I mean. But you find the Trump indictments, that's there. All his legal problems, January 6 issues, all that's on there. That's all part of the propaganda machine.
I can understand Trump being removed from the Colorado ballot, not being on there because I think that happened after.
Well, that happened the other day.
Yeah, this was 10 days ago. So I mean,
I'll cut him slack for that because the Colorado thing it's like barely a week old.
And that's big news. That's huge.
That's huge. So
for American politics, that's huge.
So the state, for you, some of you guys that are not tracking this, the state of Colorado decided to get rid of Donald Trump from the ballot using a clause within the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that covers insurrectionist activity. I believe the Supreme Court.
The exact law that they use is 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection.
Yeah, so basically they labeled Donald Trump an insurrectionist, therefore disqualifying him from running on the ballot of that state. California is soon to follow suit because they thought it was a great idea, and it's
Trump has no convictions.
Trump has zero convictions. He's not been convicted of it being an insurrection. As a matter of fact, it's not one of the charges. So, and why is it not one of the charges? Because he just did not do that. Now we know what intent may have been. We can speculate.
You can speculate all you want, but prove it.
The thing is that what was said by Donald Trump and what's in the transcript had nothing to do with an insurrection. Nothing at all. And then the release of the tapes for the January 6th tour guide that was given to all them people. And all that was released as major news, and the incarceration of these people that participated as part of that January 6th disaster. And they've been incarcerated for over 3 years now with no trial, no bond, which is a violation of the 8th Amendment for,
And the people that have been convicted have been sentenced to, 17 to 22 years in prison?
And some of them, the convictions have been overturned. Like Buffalo Head dude that's now running for some kind of office somewhere. Once Tucker Carlson freaking released all
his didn't get overturned until he had already served his sentence.
He was almost done. He was almost done. He had like 7 years. I think they gave him like 7 years. They gave him like 5 years, something like that. He had done like 2 or 3 of them.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, all these things are happening, and that doesn't make Forbes list of top news, for the year 2023. And so back in the day, let's bring back the time machine, hop in the HESCO time machine over here. And it's this deep. So, you may have heard a little bit about this, but Operation Mockingbird is described by Wikipedia. It's an Operation Mockingbird is an alleged, pay attention to that word, alleged, large-scale operation in the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early years of the Cold War and attempted to manipulate domestic and American news media organizations for propaganda purposes. So basically, what it did is it attached a U.S. An American CIA handler to a lot of major news outlets where they made a concerted effort to guide the narrative and guide people into thinking what the CIA wanted them to think by feeding it to the people through the news. They've been part of the Hollywood agenda for a long time, and it's a known thing. As a matter of fact, as you go down in the search page a little bit further down, although Wikipedia says it's alleged, here from the Senate Intelligence Committee .gov. It actually says CIA, use of journalists and clergy in intelligence operations.
And that link is actually a PDF that I just opened.
It's a PDF. It dates back to 1977 or further back. But
the committee met on that. That's
the committee met in
1996.
Yeah. So it's so there's plenty of websites out there delineating Operation Mockingbird and what it all entails. And here it started in the 1950s. Hire and contract students and people of the media to write false stories or embellish stories to favor the U.S. government. It's a well-known fact in Hollywood that if you want to create a war movie or create anything that will require Department of Defense assistance, it has to also show that Department of Defense asset in a favorable light, or you will not get to rent an M1 Abram,
right? Or
you will not get to use soldiers as extras.
Great examples is the Top Gun movie, Maverick.
We Were Soldiers.
Yep.
Some of these other there's a lot of other movies that require a lot of heavy military equipment because there's very few, if any, civilian-owned aircraft carriers that are not a museum.
And that's the thing, when people want to use tanks in a movie, they'll usually get private people that have
tanks, have a collection,
and they have facades over the tanks.
A Vismod, visual modification.
What I see most of the time is a British chieftain with a Vismod on it to make it look kind of like an Abrams. Now, the thing is, you're not really going to tell that that's not an Abrams unless you're a dickhead like me who likes tanks and was on tanks. And then you see it's like there's no way that's an Abrams tank. The track is wrong. The slope is wrong. The turret's not big enough. Stuff.
Right. So when you get guys that are subject matter experts in this stuff, then the truth comes out. But same thing.
Exactly what that tank is not.
Same thing with parachute operations. You'll see.
Exactly.
For me, I'll see a parachute operation in a movie that says the rig is wrong, shooter's wrong. That's not right for that era. They didn't jump that aircraft no more.
Right.
Little things like that. Because I'm a bit of a history buff as well. So, but. The whole thing, was blown wide open apparently in 1977 when famed journalist Carl Bernstein, who also with his partner Bob Woodard exposed the Watergate scandal in 1974 in his 1977 piece, The CIA and the Media. So that's an actual publication that you can actually look at, and this has been a thing forever. So Operation Mockingbird has been going strong, and there's no reason why it should stop, and it's something that's continuously going, and it's not going to stop, and that's how you control the masses. And that's why one of the reasons, kind of like a roundabout way why this podcast even exists to begin with. We want to encourage people to do their own research because they're starting to normalize some of the worst aspects of human life right now. They're some of you guys may have already heard. I had a couple friends of mine send me the shorts and send me the trailers to these upcoming movies. So back I say in the beginning of the year, me and James were talking, and we were talking about how what to tell, how what would the tall tale signs of an impending world war or impending civil war or something like that would be, and I told James that a big tall tale sign is to monitor what happens in the ISS, in the International Space Station. The International Space Station, for all you guys and gals that you may not know, we have a space station floating around just outside of Earth, just outside the planet,
it's and
continuously populated throughout the year by an international staff of astronauts and scientists that are mainly scientists that are doing 10 kinds of different research up there, anything from debaucherous activities to
Are they?
Yeah,
I've never looked into what they're fucking.
They have to. Yeah, ain't no way. I
have no idea.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah,
never looked into it.
Yeah, for science. Who? Yeah. Now you think about it. They have to.
Zero G, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're at least jerking off. The very least. Ain't no way somebody's not. Ain't no way you put me in space. I'm not spanking. I'm not spanking the monkey in space, bro. Like no pants, upside down, floating around. Like, well, I wouldn't know what's up, what side is up, but I'm beating my meat.
See if it causes some kind of thrust.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe is there any? Like, to truly measure how far it's just so if I shoot it, just keep going until it splats into a window or something. So so there's all kinds of experiments happening up there, and the major nations that are occupying that space station are Americans and Russians. So everybody's been talking about the beginning of World War III and how we're really close, and doomsday clock freaking has been teetering at like 1 minute till doomsday for like ever now. Now the talks of civil war and civil unrest, which are not fucking true. So it's just not. So there's a lot of distrust and a lot of discontent with the current administration.
Yeah.
There is. We are not having groups of hundreds of thousands of Americans destroying anything. That's just not happening. But the narrative is being put out there, and everything is being put out there to normalize, including Hollywood being utilized now, and this movie coming out, Civil War, which I truly believe is an Operation Mockingbird piece. Why? Because of the personnel, equipment, and some of the things that are being utilized on there require express written consent from DOD in order to even roll out into a movie set. Right. So unless they can provide any kind of evidence that it was done by a private collector or anything, I'm purely inclined in that this movie, among other things, specifically Civil War, the movie that's coming out next year, and next year as well, this other movie called the ISS. The Civil War movie, the plot is self-explanatory. Right. The South rises. All the red states go, oh, hell, Biden, and you and whatever. And you know how that goes. Everybody's wearing Hawaiian shirts and plate carriers. For real. Well, Hawaiian shirts and plate carriers and blah, 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 and boogaloo, freaking, don't threat on me, blah, blah, blah.
I read something about the plot in that movie, and it's supposed to have like Texas and California on the same side, which is the most unbelievable.
It's a southern coalition of the Florida coalition, the Texas and California
like
coalition.
The entire south of the
which
United
is like
States.
basically the entire bottom half.
Maybe take the Mason-Dixon line and just do it across the country.
It's insanity. But the one thing that ties it all together is that movie ISS. The plot of the ISS movie comes out in 2024 in January. Is basically World War III or a big conflict breaks apart, and both groups of scientists, the Russians and the Americans, get orders to overtake and control the ISS by all means necessary.
Yeah. reality speaking, that doesn't make any sense because I can't think of a strategic value for the ISS. It's a research station.
So I'm sure there's more to that research station that we are not privy to, but which is why they made that weird agreement about not putting rockets and
putting weapons in space.
Yeah. And but this whole thing has to tie in with the decentralization of space activity by Donald Trump and in just starting Space Force and all this other stuff. This all has to tie in somehow. There's too many coincidences in this timeline. But what I was referring to when I spoke to you about what happens on the ISS is basically that governments start pulling their astronauts back.
Yeah.
Because if a catastrophic event takes place, then those people are marooned out there because we will not lack the capability to bring them home.
Right.
So monitoring what happens in the ISS is very, very important and very telling about the next move. It's almost telegraphed to what could be happening in the next X amount of months.
Right.
Movies have the unique ability of normalizing things and just desensitizing the viewer to a particular thing.
Right.
It happens with video games. No matter how hard they try to say violent video games, don't blah blah blah, bro. Whatever. We played violent video games before we went to war on purpose. They're called simulators, and they put us in it with rifles, and we shot at people. Why? Because they wanted us to kill. That was the job. So they desensitize you, and part of Operation Mockingbird is also to normalize and desensitize in order to pass an agenda or to actually massage something into the prefrontal cortex of that population.
Right.
I believe those two movies are part of that. I don't know what other things are in store for us, but definitely, although a lot of talk of civil war is going on, just squash that shit. If you hear it, just squash that shit. Prepare yourself, nonetheless, but you should always be preparing yourself. Make sure you got plenty of stuff, because I believe that the next thing that's going to happen will probably be, probably another virus before there's a civil war. But
likely. And the thing is, like,
natural emergency or some sort is probably more likely than civil war.
Yeah. People can speculate all the time, but yeah, it's possible that another virus or another bout of they call it COVID or whatever could trigger a civil war if they start doing lockdowns again.
I mean, it could.
Civil war, maybe not. Civil unrest, probably.
I'm not saying
it's a lot more likely than an all-out civil war.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's just not. I don't see the likelihood of it is not there. But I think they're definitely wanting to push for it, mainly because the president can't leave.
Right. And that's something that's been speculated a lot since Biden took office. Is like if they declare an emergency measure, like something like a civil war or a major global pandemic that's actually causing massive life loss, or a world war, they can suspend the election.
Everything this government is doing. So the talk of civil war didn't come from nowhere. Yeah. So everything that this government has been doing has been to induce that way of thinking. So Biden went the other day to Mexico to talk to Obrador or whatever the hell that the Mexican president is. Okay. About some measures or some treaty or whatever to try to stem the flow of immigration to the United States. All the while, they won't close the border.
Right. They have shut down a major rail line that crosses from Mexico into the U.S.
These people are still coming across. I mean, at the tune of we got I think the last figure was close to a grand total for the last couple of years of 8 million captures. It's equal to the populations, I believe, of the entire I think the entire state of Chicago.
State of Chicago?
I mean, the state of Illinois and It's some astronomical numbers.
Gotcha.
Another thing is that those are the captures.
Yeah.
Out of those captures, there's well over 170 known people on the terror watch list that have been captured. Those are the ones that have been captured.
Right.
Now, you can speculate using roach math, which is basically like if you kill a roach, there's like 30 others in your cabinets. So if you capture one insurgent coming across the border or somebody on the terror watch list, there are probably 5 others squirted around that you never saw. Right. So it's a better safe than sorry assumption.
Especially using typical tactics that you see in insurgencies, which are swarm tactics.
Yeah. It's a better to safe than sorry. You see it in
Hamas.
You see it in narcotics trafficking too. So
send a bunch of them all at once, but all of them are going to get caught.
Send lesser loads throughout a broader area. And to disguise the major load as the major load actually goes through. Keep law enforcement occupied in a particular area of town, or these are tactics that are known to us. So, so those are the gotaways. Those are the captures, which you could probably say about half of that number. On top of that number is probably the real number. So in order to combat that, the state of Texas, our state, in conjunction with our state National Guard, Texas Department of Public Safety, and Lieutenant Governor Paxton, they came out with a Senate House Bill number 4, I believe it's called, which basically says that it's any person crossing illegally into the state of Texas from a foreign country is subject to an arrest. The pundits on the left rapidly pivoted those measures and turned it into a racist agenda, claiming that basically that unshackles law enforcement to go ahead and go on a campaign of looking for illegal immigrants and wherever they may be.
Right.
That's just not what the law says. That's not what it is. That's not what it's for. Right. It's for those law enforcement and military personnel that are enforcing security at the border, giving them the power to arrest and detain and arrest people that are crossing their border. Right. Because the federal government is allowing them to cross the border, get caught, processed, and sent to your town without any repercussions. So there's an enhancement for a second arrest. I believe it's like 2 years or something like that, with a deportation and the country of origin. There's a couple other measures, but they're not in no way, shape, or form meant to unleash law enforcement onto every Julio that's running around, right. Because that's just not. Yeah. This is not what it's about.
Well, it's not practical. One
is that question was asked during the press conference in Del Rio to Governor Abbott, and he explicitly read it to the idiot that asked the question.
Right.
So that question was asked. It was asked 3 times by 3 morons that are journalists.
Right.
So it's been answered. That's not what it is. And now they're pivoting towards, it's a racist policy. So in spite of all the evidence to the contrary, their thoughts remain the same. Gotcha. Their states are falling apart. Governor Abbott and the governments of Arizona, and they're not the only ones that were shipping illegal immigrants to...
Right, to the northern states.
To other states. That we got that idea from the federal government because they were putting people on flights. Mm-hmm. That was last year. We were putting people on flights. It was all over El Paso. You see the tarmac full. There's a family of immigrants getting in a plane. Where's that plane going? It's going to fucking LaGuardia. That's the federal government did it first. I gotta give it to them. They were sending them well better equipped than Texas because at least they had $7,000 in their pocket. COVID freaking Biden bucks. Yeah, I arrested an illegal immigrant for assault, family violence that had a COVID-19 check for $1,500 from the federal government in his pocket. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this government has done everything in their power to incite an uprising. It's what they're doing. It's literally what they're doing. It's in our face. I shied away from talking about this for many reasons, but although incredibly opposed to it, because I believe that the due process,
Right.
voting, I think that's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way we move forward. We don't move forward by killing our fellow man. I mean, it solves things on a permanent basis.
It creates more problems than it
but
solves.
not without becoming the very thing that you want to eradicate.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is impossible to conduct a civil war and then come back to center. You don't come back from that.
That's true.
You don't come back from that.
If history teaches.
If history teaches, is once you cross that line.
Yeah.
So think about these movies as an abhorrent, just disservice to your intelligence. I'm gonna call it right now. That movie, Civil War, is fucking bullshit.
I'm still gonna watch it.
Probably gonna watch it. Probably gonna eat a bag of popcorn to it, just so I know what the hell I'm talking about to the fullest.
Yeah.
Because this video may not age well.
Yeah.
That movie may come out and maybe a big kumbaya freaking thing for all I know. But I mean, you're talking about killing other Americans, man.
Yeah.
Bro, nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I don't like that one bit. And they're pushing it.
I remember that being talked about when I was in the military.
They're pushing it like if they're pushing it like as though they could fight. That's what's crazy. As if they could fight.
Yeah.
It's like they push this agenda when in this scenario they're clearly the victim. They're gonna be. It's insane to me. It's like advocating for your own demise. I don't get it. It's like what was it?
Things about this.
Sun Tzu said it. They'll burn it to the ground to rule over the ashes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, as you guys gear into moving past this shitty year, this crazy year, and start ramping up for the next year after enjoying time with your families and friends, love everybody, and make sure you grab a lot to eat, enjoy the gifts and all the things that our country has to offer. Freaking go travel, take a look at stuff, help each other out wherever you can, look out for the less fortunate, do all those good things, man. But just remember, don't get bamboozled by Operation Mockingbird and that bullshit agenda that the U.S. government is trying to freaking pass on to everybody through freaking social media, regular media, and Hollywood. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. So if you do watch this movie, watch it with an open head, open mind. Just kind of, not with an open head, but open mind. Hopefully.
People are going to probably watch it the same regard they had Red Dawn when it first came on.
Hopefully it's that zany.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's that zany, and we can just move on from there.
I mean, the old Red Dawn, not the new one.
Yeah, the old Red Dawn.
Yeah.
I just don't like the narrative, man.
Yeah.
I don't like the narrative. I think the narrative's ugly. I think it's ugly, and I think it's out of touch, because a lot of these people that are advocating this stuff or talking about it have never seen war.
Right.
They've never seen the things that man can do to each other in combat.
I remember years and years ago, before you and I ever met, before I went to college, before any of this stuff, I went to a gun show here in Central Texas. And there was a lady that was handing out flyers for, advocating for Texas secession. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to secede from the Union. And I stopped by and I was like, I had heard the concept before, and it's like, I knew a little bit about history, not as much as I do now, but I knew a little bit about history. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Like, do you know what you're advocating for? Because that would immediately start a war. You have any idea how much blood this would cost? Mm-hmm. Like, the cost isn't in dollars. It's not in bullets. It's not in tanks. It's not in planes. It's in blood. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea what you're asking for?
Yeah.
You're asking for a major war that Texas can't win.
No.
Texas cannot fight the United States. There's not a chance. Not a chance in hell.
There is a chance.
No, there's not.
There's a chance.
If you put the full-scale U.S. military against full-scale Texas military forces, the Texans will be wiped within a day.
I've lost twice. Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't want to hear that shit. There's a chance.
There's no chance.
There's a chance. But let's just say it's not zero.
Okay.
It's not
pretty close
zero.
to it. Yeah.
It's not. I can guarantee you it's not zero.
No, it's not zero. It's close to it though.
But it's not zero. and the problem is that should never take place.
True. Yeah.
That should never fucking take place.
Yeah.
I believe that social discourse
to solve problems.
Social discourse, voting, and listening to each other, and debating like normal people. And let's start. We have a problem with language in this country. It's progressively getting worse.
Oh, you mean going back to a civilized society? It's way too
problem with
late for
language.
that.
We have a problem with language. I mean, people keep changing the meaning of things. And people don't want to. Another thing, language attached to emotion.
Yeah.
Is what the main problem is. A lot of people skirt around and beat around the bush because they don't want to offend somebody, or they don't want to insult somebody, and they don't want to step on somebody's toes. When in reality, it doesn't fucking matter. People respect you a lot more if you say what you got to say, and you say it to their face and just be done. They may like you, they may not like you, but you know for sure where you'll stand by the end of that statement. So you say what you got to say, and that's what we got to get to. We got to get to a point where we're just going to be, and it'll never happen. It's a pipe dream, but it'd be nice if we could just be brutally honest with each other and just be like, hey, bro, this won't work because of X, Y, and Z. Why do you think that way? And they're like, I think that way because of this and this. But here is the evidence to the contrary, bro. Doesn't work. Yeah. What you think doesn't work. And then that person can either freaking spin around like Leatherface until they pass out, or just freaking go with it, or learn that what they're thinking is just not correct. I don't know. It's a pipe dream, but it'll never happen. People are always trying to protect each other's feelings while at the same time advocating for their destruction, which is the craziest shit.
I agree.
But so that's my freaking 2 cents there for Operation Mockingbird.
I think that's about what we had for this one, right?
That's about all we can talk about right now. I mean, so don't forget to like and subscribe. We got guests coming up starting next year. We got a couple guests lined up, a couple interesting chats. We're gonna try to get some more interesting people on here to more interesting than me and James to kind of give us their point of view and tell us our particular stories on other unrelated political topics. We try not to stay in this very depressing kind of. To me, it is. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
No, say what you feel.
It's interesting, but it makes me sad. It makes me sad. It's depressing. The political thing.
Oh, I thought you meant the room.
No, not the room. Room is fine. Room is fine.
Oh, that's where you're going with that. It's like, what the fuck, man?
No, not the room. No, the room's fine. I don't care. I'll talk about the topics. The topics, I like to cover every now and then. Change gears a little bit and cover something a little happy.
Yeah, I thought the last show with Adam was.
Oh, it was
awesome.
fantastic. I love talking to Adam. But yeah, we're gonna bring a couple more of those weird zany people.
Yeah.
And talk about what they got going on in their life and.
You're absolutely right though. The politics stuff, the news stuff, the current events stuff, it gets depressing.
Yeah, it gets depressing. I mean, I find it super interesting, which is why I talk about it so much. I can't stay away from not being interested about it, but I just don't like watching people freaking just tear each other apart for no apparent reason, and it's just kind of sad. But neither here or there. Enjoy your holidays. Don't forget Santa Tracker on
Well, y'all got little kids.
All your little kids use the Santa Tracker. It's pretty cool.
NORAD does a Santa Tracker.
Yeah, the NORAD Santa Tracker. Go ahead and put it on for you chilling. And don't forget to like, subscribe. It really helps. Share the content.
Get a conversation going.
Really helps with the algorithms and everything. Push our content to the top of people's lists. And that's all we got, man.
See y'all next year.
Laters.